Hello there folks, Steve Tegus here. I wanted to clear up a few things, maybe mispresumptions. The first one, maybe, I'm not a hermit, I don't live in the woods. I come out into anywhere that's a local piece of woods because the main reason is the sound. In the woods, around trees, there's a really good sound, a good acoustic, and the light isn't too strong. And you can always find a good place to kind of walk. And I also like the green background. It reminds me of the Matrix, and also the inspiration of the trees, and and no distractions in the background. So I like to walk in the woods. Also, the main reason I come out to walk in the woods is because I like to walk and think. It clears my mind. The oxygen clears my brain. And above all of that, I get away from all of the people that I'm always around. I love to be around people. I love talking. At the moment, I'm in Germany. I'm English. Lived half of my life in England and spent half of my time in Germany. And so I've got a lot of friends from countries around Germany. It's surrounded by 9 countries. And the German language covers Swiss and Austrian. And a lot of Holland and stuff is very similar to German and Belgian. So I really ain't got time to be a hermit. Even when I come out for walks, I meet people and then end up expanding my friendship, my circle of friends, Another one, I haven't escaped the system. I'm not an escapee. I haven't gotten out of the system. Truth of it is, from my research, is we're not really in the system. Well, we wasn't in the system anyway. I tried to escape the system. I tried to remove myself from all of the paperwork until I got down to almost nothing, and then I realised what the paperwork really meant, the nature of the game, and that's what a lot of my channel's about. It's different. It's not, people's perception of law and religion and society, and the media, society, and that is a little bit different to how it really is. It's all kind of reverse. I often say, because I'm a performer, musician, this is why I'm not a hermit, because I've got, I just go on tour and play. When I'm standing on stage and I say, here to my, it's my right, but it's to the audience, it's the left. So if I point that side, I say, to the left, on the drums or on the guitar or whatever. So left is right and right is left from my performance perspective. And I've always had this idea of being on stage and off stage, because when I'm on stage I'm shouting, fuck off, and I'm off stage I'm saying opening doors for old ladies. It's a performance, and I see all of this media as a back to front performance that runs on a special kind of legislation, the trick that you're allowed to use trickery, as long as nobody gets directly harmed. So the world we live in is kind of a little bit of an Alice in Wonderland, and that's what I try and reveal. But it's because of the language being so in our faces, we don't really see the trick that's going on in the language itself. And this is where, for me, after spending a long time in Germany and mastering the language and being able to speak fluent in German, I got a different perspective of the English language, and how the English language had actually derived from German. Old English is Germanic. People say, oh, it comes from French. No, Old English was German, basically. German's a really old language that hasn't changed its roots, but Old English was basically German. And through language reforms, both of them changed. So language as an evolution is a mispresumption. The English language, I don't know, I'm no expert, but the way I see it is that it was reformed around Latin and the legal system and the paperwork system around the time of William the Conqueror, 1066, Battle of Hastings and all that lot. So the world we live in is back to front. I haven't escaped. Like I say, I tried to escape until I realised that it was back to front, and now I realise it's a kind of a joke. My teeth. You probably notice I haven't got all my teeth. I used to have my own business, and I used to keep everything. I was self-employed, even had people working for me, and I was able to make a lot of money, and I was able to pay for my teeth. But at some point, I just realised something's wrong with the dental system. I lost trust in it. It seems that they're not quite competent, and money matters more than pain. And so I decided to just say, well, if I really believe in the cosmos or the universe or God or whatever everybody else is talking about that you can have faith in, then let's just try having faith in that, see what happens, And so I started this plan to regrow my teeth, and I looked around the internet and I found out there's a lot of people who have actually grown their teeth. It seems that some people do get more sets of teeth in their life, This has always been a subject when I say to people, I'm regrowing my teeth, ha 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 ha, as if it's natural to just laugh at that, Now, I don't know. I just got pissed off. I just get pissed off with the health system. So I thought, well, let's have a look into it. And so one of my great interests has always been sound, music, harmony. How harmony can help the growth of plants, for example. In real life practical tests, plants have been tested under certain, music and harmony, and shown that plants, the plant growth is stimulated by harmony and sound, especially overtone-rich music, like Eastern music, sitar music. Now, this high-frequency resonance is something. It's like mathematical, but it's a musical mathematics. It's based on base 12, a dodecimal system, and the decimal system's kind of not really fit to work on a 12-note scale. So you have to kind of get into a different level of mathematics with it. But the idea being is if you can get the resonance of the teeth bone and stimulate the growth through harmony, then obviously teeth will grow back. Now, people may laugh and stuff, but obviously if you break a leg, it only takes a matter of weeks for the bone to reheal. Or if you break an arm or stuff, it's no amazing thing that you wouldn't get your leg amputated just because you've broken it. And I think it's the same with teeth, but obviously the diet. But for me, the main one is the belief system. In my mind, I still know that there's part of my mind that says it's impossible to grow your teeth. I'm outnumbered with people that tell me it's impossible. So with that level of belief system, I don't know if it's possible. So my main aim is, like I say, to develop the sound system, and also to try and create a belief system that's strong enough to battle those paradigms, Now, at the end of the day, I could just go straight to a dentist and get false teeth banged in, and no one would notice, and I'd be able to grin like a rock star, But at the same time, I find it, it's interesting. If you, the audience, want to judge me just based off teeth, then it's a little bit shallow anyway. So, to me, I'm completely happy in my life. I feel really healthy. I have no pain and stuff. So my channel's never been about me trying to change the world for me. It's really. I found that all my resolves within myself, and how I can deal with the world, my behaviour, and I've got thick skin and stuff, and I accept that I've been born into a world of madness. I accept that. It's like if you was born in the jungle, you wouldn't argue with the trees that the lions shouldn't eat you. You can't argue the impossible. So I've come to accept that the world needs changing, but we can't deserve it to be a certain way. And so to a lot of it, it's like being Bruce, like Bruce Lee says, be the water, and it is about being fluid and having a standpoint, having a conviction, but also knowing when to just step back and let others just do what they do. So like I say, I'm happy. I'm not here to kind of get pity. I never ask for contributions except for just your love and your comments and your to use your minds and critical thinking. I never ask for donations or anything because I haven't got any financial worries. I'm an entrepreneur. So yeah, moving on to another unanswered question. I was asked in a comment, but then that comment disappeared. I don't know if the one who wrote it felt that it was maybe too personal. The question was, how do I earn my money? I like that word, earn. Like how do you like burn the ashes and put them in an urn? Like when an urn. How do I earn my money? Because it's not my money either. It's the government's money. They issue our collective power in the form of promissory notes to us, so that we can access that power, and they can then regulate the inflation or deflation of the value of that money. So it's never my money, and and money is also debt. So it's like as good as like in the urn. But I'm waffling now. Basically what we call money or value or whatever, I earn through everything and anything. Primarily it was through guitar, through playing guitar really, and my first job was guitar teaching, I think when I was 18. And I had a young lad I was teaching guitar to. And then I joined a band, and we earned money off like touring. I earned money off doing album covers and graphic design for people. Earned money through translating from German to English and English to German, helping people fill in like forms, legal documents, translating songs. I'd help bands with German bands with their English lyrics and translate them. I'm good with electronics, so I help out with electronics and stuff, so freelancing my skills. I worked different jobs for short amounts of time. Once in a little firm that had developed a way of modifying a little Chrysler Voyager van so disabled people could roll a wheelchair in the side door, and the van then would sink on hydraulics, and a ramp would come out, and there'd be all special things for disabled people. So I was like helping to rewire that. It was good. It was an interesting job for a while. I'd get a brand new Chrysler Voyager van with 4 kilometres on the clock, and I'd single-handedly strip it down to its bare bones. Really quite a good fun, really. And worked as a tree surgeon. Because I was good at rock climbing, I got this job climbing up trees with a rope and then cutting down branches and that, after they've been surveyed and stuff, or collecting the harvest. Want to go up the tree and shake all the seeds off it, and you catch it on big nets. A well-paid job, but very physical, and logging and wooding and stuff. So many different jobs. I've worked on film productions for people. Did a lot of like videoing things like weddings and music videos for people, all of that kind of stuff. So really I can't say that I've had one job. I've always been self-employed, and I've always worked for others. I've done a lot of things for like payment I got paid with a drum kit once, or a computer, or different things, So it's not always money that I get, and I've never had much money, but when I've needed it, it's always seemed to be there, or I've come up with a plan to make some. I find that it's better to have a way of making money than to just have the money and then no plan, So really, in a way, I suppose I'm more, I've been more involved in promotion and marketing, getting other people's businesses up and running. I had my own web design business in Germany for 10 years. I run it completely single-handedly. But looking back now, the paperwork and the tax in German's a nightmare. And so that did me in, and I realised as an artist, I should be able to be freelance with this whole thing. So that's what I started to pursue. And that's why I appear so free to many people. I've always had my hair down, except when I was working on building sites and stuff where I'd tie it up. But I always have my hair down, and I always conduct myself intelligibly to people and stuff, and I've never been treated badly by the government in that way. They've never looked at me in bad eyes, because I don't think they're allowed to. I don't think civil servants are allowed to judge you on appearance, really, as long as you speak in authority. There's a lot of things that I'm working on, that I wanted to work on, and to make a life with, to make a career with. One of them, for example, is I've developed a new way of a new guitar theory, like a theory of how to play scales and chords and know your way around the guitar with some very, very basic patterns. And I'd like to introduce that, especially for children. I think, you know, if kids could learn the simple patterns, that they could come up with some amazing theories that develop from that. I always found that standard traditional music theory was a little bit old-fashioned, and it wasn't cut out for the guitar or the other stringed instruments. As I really wanted to pursue that, make a DVD and present myself and make millions, you know, but I thought, you know, things like that can wait, you know. I also love music, so I'd love to work with orchestras and stuff and stuff like that. But again, it takes time, and there are things that I love to do. But obviously, when I look out at the world, I see so many people unhappy. They haven't even got really time for my music. They haven't really got time for my things in a way at the moment. You know, it's very much time where the world needs as many of our hands and as many of our voices as possible. That's what I say. And when I look out on the world, if I see 10,000 people and only 10 of those people have the courage, the freedom, the know-how, the essence to actually stand up in front of the rest of the people and say something in a microphone, you know. One of the biggest social fears is public speaking. So it's obvious that most of the public speakers we see are either paid enough money to make it worth it, or they've got a big confidence, or they've got a driving force. Like myself, I am not comfortable with speaking to a nation into a camera, but with the conviction of knowing that I'm speaking about something that affects us all, humanity, the system, the world, law, justice, you know, doing the right thing. These things affect us all, so that gives me the conviction as a little musician in the world to have a bigger voice and say, okay, I'm speaking for you all. If no one has the freedom to stand up, then I'll say what everybody else seems to be trying to say, but I'll say it in my reasoning. Now, I've put myself through the same pressures as other people have had in their lives. You know, for the last 2 years, I've had probably the 2 hardest years ever in my life, where, you know, I've even having to decide whether I even want to continue making videos or continue living in this land, whether I want to pursue a totally different lifestyle. You know, I separated with the woman I'm in love with, and for 20 years, you know. I've moved my business and moved my house and my location and changed my legal status, and I've been fighting like crazy for the last 2 years inside my own heart. And from the outside, not a lot of people have known how hard that fight has been on me on the inside. And all of that time I've managed to keep this channel going and keep delivering a positive message, because that's the message that's been keeping me strong over the last 2 years, is an understanding that I gained through the conviction that I put in. You know, I came to the point where I didn't give a fuck about the government anymore. I didn't give a fuck about life. All I wanted was like justice. All I wanted was to be right. If all these people are preaching goodness and God and the greater good, and let's all be a society, and the law is the law because we say so, and we all have to abide by the law, then let's have a look at the law. Let's have a look at your law. When you're putting your law onto me, let's have a look at your law. Let's have a look at your Bible. Let's have a look at your religious rules and doctrines. Let's have a look at your education system. Let's have a look at your media, your politics, your language, your social memes and paradigms, traditions and cultures. Let's have a look at it all. Let's have a look at your lies. Let's have a look at your truths. Because I'm sick and tired. Or I was sick and tired of this situation that we all live in. So much mockery and people being pissed off with things but not actually having the energy to look for an answer. You know, and I realised with the New Age movement, and I went there myself, you know, somewhere there must be some power. And I came back to myself. I did meditation, I did ceremonies and rituals, and listened to a lot of gurus and looked at a lot of books and found a lot of answers. But there was always something, and I find it. It's like I'm born into a crazy world, And that world is to blame for a lot of the things that went wrong in my life. Yeah, just card run out. So yeah, you know, English attitude, you know, we're all pissed off. We're all angry. So, you know, to not shout would be like to suppress something, I feel. I'm not angry. I get angry when I talk about, or passionate, when I talk about these subjects to you. You know, of course I don't walk around the street talking about these subjects. I actually try and connect with people just on a very simple, basic level. And sometimes there's a little place for some wisdom to be put in there without sort of going on about chemtrails and Monsanto, you know. But we've got a bit of a situation, you know, with the government. You know, the New Age movement's all about love and light, and you know, seeing the positive, you know, and then you got the truth movement, if you want to call it that, who's about like it's all the government, and I'm thinking it's neither or either, you know. I can understand why people are pissed off with the government, but at the end of the day, there's too many different governments in the world. It's too established. It's too old. Nobody's running it. Everybody's just running little different bits of it, and there is corruption in there, and it will get worse. It will get terribly worse if people don't wake up to it, you know. But at the same time, I've been watching over the years just people trying to wake others up and not succeeding. And I think maybe it's because people are too scared, and the things that we're trying to wake them up to are kind of unbelievable. And if you look at the idea of the wisdom of the crowds, to me, if half the people don't believe it, then there's got to be something wrong with it. And so I just thought, yeah, I'm going to go off on my own now. I have to look after my own life for the last 2 years. You know, I have to really look after my own interests, because nobody else is actually listening to me anyway. You know, with all due respect, people are not. You know, people are too busy trying to rally some kind of like interest group together. You know, rally some kind of protest or some kind of strength in numbers. I'm thinking, well, that strength in the more numbers isn't going to help me anymore. I have to look for myself. And if I can find an answer, that at least I can give that to other individuals who find themselves in the same dilemma as me. You know, been fighting the New World Order for the last 10 years, and you suddenly find yourself in your own individual dilemma with this government, with this whole system. But none of the people around you, not religious, not the New Age, not the truth movement, not the, you know, nobody seems to then understand. They're lost. They're lost. Something's losing them. You know, and so I'm looking at that. What are people missing? What could be a solution? What could I imagine could be a possible solution? Because obviously a lot of people are kind of raising their voices, but essentially asking for the impossible. You know, asking the government, you know, or whatever, for anything is kind of stupid. If you like just protesting it like that. So I had looked through it anyway. I'm trying to come to some point, I suppose. But I just listened to everybody. I listened to all of the things. I listened to Eckhart Tolle and you know, Muji and what's his name, Bashar, and Alan Watts. I really like Alan Watts. You know, Terence McKenna. You know, all of that lot. I looked at that for Noam Chomsky and all of that for that kind of wisdom. I looked at so much stuff, and I tried to look, you know, where does it fall short? What gets lost in communication? You know, could they be missing something that you know? It seems like good ideas, but can I come up with something that pushes that beyond? And the same thing happened to law. When I first got into law, I thought, oh no, but I need to understand a little bit of law because I'm going to die in court. I'm going to die in the confrontations that I'm up against. So I need to understand at least what my human rights are. So I got my hands on a Black's Law Dictionary, 7th edition. I got me a big pile of dictionaries, like I mentioned often, you know, in different languages and stuff. I'm trying to cross-reference to find out what there is in there for me, what's provided in the law for me. Because nobody understands me, so I'm not going to get anybody who can represent me if nobody can understand me, because I've gone far too way out in this world. I don't even want to be here. You know, I didn't want to be here. So the only way I could want to be here is to find the answer, to find that what everyone's missing. That's what I've been doing for the last 2 years, other than talking to people, talking about this problem. I've been reading and reading about this problem. And I've come to really enjoy my research, thankfully, because I turned away from just researching the mainstream media news. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. I've got a lot of respect for those who have the time and energy to look into the mainstream news and then pull it to pieces and reveal it for what it is, which is a bit of a joke. To be honest, I left politics a long time ago, really, in Germany. I can't remember who was, I think it was Gerhard Schroeder, I think was Chancellor or whatever you call it, President, Germany. Chancellor. And then I noticed like certain changes in the media. You know, I noticed like the colour orange started to be established. I noticed that the colour green was, you know, before green was quite prevalent in Germany. The police were dressed in green, the police cars were green, businesses had like green in the logos and stuff. And I suddenly noticed that the logos were changing. You know, an insurance company changed all of their green logos to orange ones, and it costed millions. The police changed their colours from green to blue in Germany. I thought, that's odd, isn't it? You know, putting so much effort into changing colours. Around that time, I obviously noticed that, you know, there was like a lot of, like in television, you'd see like Taliban images with green filters and things. So you knew that the colour green was going to be, it was going to be kind of saved for the enemy, you know, to represent the enemy in green or something. And they wanted to move the colours away from that. And then I noticed Angela Merkel come on the scene wearing orange, and I knew straight away, just because of the way it was presented in the media, I knew she would be the next in power. And I told a lot of German people, I says, Angela Merkel will be in power. And they said, what, a woman? No chance. I says, yeah, you know. And she said, oh, you know, it's not going to happen. And I says, yeah, Angela Merkel will be Chancellor. How do you know? I've just been watching the signs, colour changes, you know, traffic lights. Go, stop. Gone from green to orange, hasn't it? Angela Merkel's in. And lo and behold, she's in. You know, it wasn't too much long after that I predicted that Guido Westerwelle would be the foreign minister of the whole thing. Oh, wrong, no, it can't be. Wrong party. And he's gay. Never get in. You know, bang. I'm right again. Why am I right? Because all I'm doing is looking at how the media is changing its mood to change the attitude of the audience to accept what's coming. It's not about making you vote for that, because they can rig the votes anyway. It's to make you think that everybody else voted that. You know, if you can convince one person that everybody else loves this stupid song, then they'll probably find a way of like accepting it at least. You know, and so everybody then accepts it as being a reality, even though they're only one who doesn't like it. In fact, they feel quite unique and special again because they're the only one who doesn't like it. In actual fact, nobody really likes it. It's just that everybody kept their mouth shut because they thought everybody else liked it. You get the idea, you know, and you could present a song to somebody who they really like that song. It's a really, really weird song. But I can't play it to my friends and family. They'll think I'm weird, you know. So the weird truth never gets like spread. You know, people keep it secret. You know, like my videos. I think my videos are kind of equal to pornography. You know, as soon as somebody comes in the room, turn it off. You don't tell them I'm watching Steve talk about the truth, that it might actually be true to me. You know. Well, of course we're all in a similar problem. So if somebody comes along and says, hey, you know, hang on a sec, you're all fucking up, maybe you should listen to that one, because it's maybe a common denominator. But who's going to stand up and call everybody else out as being wrong? No, nobody, is it? Nobody. Anybody who wants to stand on this platform and get anywhere of popularity has to kind of get people on his side. I could do that by saying, yeah, the politicians are all idiots. They are, of course they are. They're puppets. They get paid to be idiots. But you don't moan about comedians, you don't moan about stupid people in series. In fact, you sit and suspend disbelief for whole evening watching films and series and know it's not real. But then when we come to things like the Bible, people flipping out, oh, I know how, I've read it. It makes no sense, I've proved it. Well, yeah, no. You're taking a second-hand view, obviously. If any of us fully understood the Bible, I'm sure the world would be different. Not because of the Bible, but because of our understanding of language. Because truth be it, people do not understand the language. And people don't even accept the correlations between words that sound the same. Oh no, it's spelled different. Yeah, no, that's the trick, isn't it? Rights to interpretation. If you pick up a book, any book, and you can find a literal interpretation that no one can argue with, then what makes your interpretation wrong? But now, when it comes to books like the Bible, everybody seems to historicise it. It's either wrong or it's right. Have you ever thought that maybe the book is like The Matrix or Lord of the Rings? It's a book in itself. It's the four corners of the four corners. Now, earth is the earth. You are the sun shining in the book. North is the top, south is the bottom. The pages rise from east to west. Your thumb is the sun. You are the spine of the book. It's all in the literal language, which I talk a lot about, especially the English language. It's fascinating. Where was I before? Yeah, I was talking about looking at different things. I started looking at law and a lot of what they call themselves, the free men on the land, Rob Menard. A lot of people saw Rob Menard burst in the bubbles of perception or whatever. And he was talking about how the birth certificate creates a bond that's floated on the stock market, and you can actually write off or set off like debt with that tracking number, and it's a process known as A for V, or accepted for value. The actual idea was, I don't know if it came from, but I remember Winston Shrout looked into it deeply, and the idea is that in our lives, when we die, there's a commercial redemption, debts get written off. And Winston had this idea that if he wanted to leave society now, couldn't he write his commercial redemption now and write the debts off? And it was more like a spiritual concept, but it got taken over by people who wanted to then use it against the law. And some so and some so. A lot of us wanted to just find justice, to be honest. We didn't want to misuse any legal procedures against the law. And so Rob Menard, he put up some really good information, or good, I don't know, but interesting. It opened people's eyes to the fact that we have a legal person, and this legal person has certain functions and certain powers that can be activated by you or somebody else who has the power of authority or power of attorney over that legal personage. For example, a parent had authority over the child's legal personage, and so would the state, Authority, a bit like in Game of the Thrones, they're throwing around authority and coercion all over the place. And so the idea was, and so I looked into this idea of commercial redemption, accepted for value, this idea that you can just write on the back of a thing, accepted for value, exempt from levy. And one day it just come up to me, no, not accepted for value and exempt from levy. It's take it for granted for God's sake. Who am I asking here? What man is above me? Can I not take some things for granted? Are some things not self-evidential, like the rights of man? My pain cannot be felt by another man. So for somebody to ask me to show evidence of proof of claim, I could punch him in the head. And there's the pain. That's what happened to me. But eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. If you want that law, then that's the evidence. But we'll keep it by trust and belief. We'll keep it by trust. Because if you want to feel my pain, I can give it to you. But I'd have to transfer it. You see, and there's a lot of things that are, life itself is inalienable. Not unalienable, inalienable. It absolutely can't be changed, You have your rights. They're self-evident. So let's, that was the idea, is let's start looking for the things that are self-evident. So when people are talking to me, where do you get your evidence from? Yourself, because that's the only place you will find it. When you've driven yourself mad looking for an answer, if you look deep inside yourself, the only answer that you can't find out there in the world is inside of you. Alright, so yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Cheerio.